Arsenal go 3 points clear atop the table. Liverpool bounce back midweek against Atletico in the Champions League. And Manchester United, are they finally back? Well, Twin Football is back and Jacob is back. EPL Week 9 picks and predictions. It's good to have you back, Jacob. What are you most looking forward to for this weekend slate of fixtures?
Yeah, there's a few good games, a couple really important relegation battles I'm most looking forward to start off the week, especially in Leeds United, West Ham's could be really good, important results for that one.
Yeah, before we dive into it, thank you very much for joining us. This is Twin Football. My twin and I, we love to talk NFL and Premier League, so come back and join us every single week for picks and predictions. And we start off with that game that you mentioned, Jacob. Friday night at Elland Road, Leeds take on West Ham. Nuno Espírito Santo, second game in charge of the Hammers, and he gets to do it in a 5-day window. Last game out on Monday, and now this one on Friday. Who do you got?
Leeds United with arguably their most important stretch of the season the last couple of weeks. They lost last time out against Burnley at Turf Moor. Still 3 points clear of the relegation zone, but they would really have loved to win that one. That was an important one. One we were expecting them to pull off with their form this season compared to Burnley, but Burnley with the important win. They were really unlucky not to score. Definitely were the better team in the game for me, but wasn't their day. They're taking on a team in absolute shambles, though, so they'll look to get all 3 points here. Calvert-Lewin, after opening his campaign last month against Wolves, has yet to score again for his new club. Aronson, the American, really needs to finish his chances. He missed a couple against Burnley that I really thought he should have buried. One-on-one with the keeper. It went off the post. It wasn't a bad shot, but you got to tuck that away to give your team a chance. I would love for him to get hot for Leeds ahead of the World Cup this summer. West Ham are coming off a 2-0 loss against Brentford. It was 1-0 until the 95th minute, but it basically felt like it was 3-0 the whole game. West Ham was never getting back into that game. They just looked like a defeated side. In Nuno's first game as manager at home, West Ham fans are protesting and they didn't show up for the game. The stadium was half empty. Commentators said it was the most quiet Premier League game that they've been to in their lives. I don't understand that logic. Your owner just changed the manager. I thought Graham Potter was doing a really poor job. Brings in Nuno Espírito Santo. He is a proven manager. He's been doing well. He basically saved Nottingham Forest from a relegation battle a couple years ago when he took over for Steve Cooper. And the fans need to back him. How are you going to win games at home without the support of your fan base? The players looked like they didn't have any fans, and they didn't.
Only putting out a statement that said, "We support you," isn't very supportive of the new coaching staff. Yeah. Showing up to his first game, even if it's pre-planned, even if it's been a multiple game protest here from the West Ham fans going back to even before the international break, even if it's pre-planned, the managerial change wasn't necessarily pre-planned. And so now that that coaching staff is in there, you need to be able to show support and then go back to protesting the ownership. But you are rooting your team's success by doing that. I agree.
You're trying something. Yeah. Like Graham Potter, Nuno played Paqueta in the number 9 position for most of the game. I get that Fulkrug is injured for a few weeks, but he had Callum Wilson on the bench the whole game. And I also understand that Paqueta is probably the best striker of the ball on the team, but he's also the best playmaker. He has to play in the number 10 position. He'll get shots on goal in the number 10 position, but more importantly, he will open up shots for Callum Wilson. And there are other strikers, even like Somerville is good in front of goal. Paqueta has to play in the number 10 position. I don't know what both managers are seeing there. Maybe they just see some nice strikes in training and think, oh, he could score up top. No, put him in the number 10 role. He's your best player. West Ham really need this win. Both teams really need this win, but West Ham especially. I'm going draw in this one.
Ooh, yeah, that would be a good result for both to start trying to re-kick their season here, as you want to pick up as many points as possible before the festivities kick on for the holiday break, and you play game in, game out every couple of days. Next up, we have Chelsea at home to Sunderland. Jeff, do you know the last time that Chelsea lost a game where they had 11 men for more than 70 minutes? You want to know? April 2025. That is 29 games ago was the last time that Chelsea lost a game with 11 men on the pitch for more than 70 minutes. It has been a red card every single game, the last couple of games. Luckily, they welcome in a Sunderland team that only has one away goal in the Premier League. I know I have been a secret Sunderland fan here over the first couple of weeks of the season. One of the best home records in the Premier League on 10 points so far throughout the season. That's the same with the likes of Arsenal, to put that into perspective. But on away form, they haven't been there, and they play against a team in Chelsea who have made Stamford Bridge a fortress since January 2025 under Maresca. So give me Chelsea all 3 points comfortably. I like João Pedro to come back into it, and I'm hoping for a Enzo, Caicedo, Lavia midfield three with Enzo pushed up into that attacking role behind João Pedro. That is a formation that I really want to see, with the likes of Cole Palmer out, put Estevao out on the wing. He's been fantastic in recent weeks. I like Chelsea comfortably at home.
Enzo is filling in nicely in that number 10 role after Cole Palmer went down injured. I think he's out till December, so someone needed to step up. It's good to see the young Argentine doing just that. Next up, we have Newcastle taking on Fulham. Newcastle are coming off a tough loss against Brighton. Voltemata made it interesting, tying it up in the 76th minute with a really tidy finish, especially for a big man. But Welbeck struck right back to get a brace and all 3 points for Brighton. They rebounded well midweek, Newcastle, with a dominating win over Benfica. Anthony Gordon really needs to bring his Champions League form to the Premier League. He's been unstoppable in the UCL, but he has 0 goal contributions in the Prem this season. Obviously, the straight red card hindered his progress there for a few games being out, but he's still played in the rest of the 5 matches with 0 goal contributions. You need your best player to get more output from. Fulham are coming off a loss against Arsenal. It was a fair result, but they're going to feel really hard done, only conceding off the corner kick, as many teams do against Arsenal. A lot of people are arguing that Arsenal should have gotten a penalty on the corner of the 18. I didn't think there was much in it. He got a piece of the ball. I know he got more of the player, but come on. It's the corner of the 18. You're really going to beg for a penalty there. Would love to see Smith Rowe get the start here. I don't think he's gotten enough minutes. He's an amazing player. After a decent start to the season, Fulham have 3 losses in a row in the Premier League and are desperate for a result. It's not going to be this week, though. I think Newcastle ride their UCL form and get all 3 points at home in this one.
Yeah, and you mentioned the UCL form for Gordon. He has been playing in his more natural position in the UCL since it started later in the year, and they finally got their striker in after getting rid of Isak, whereas in the Premier League, most of those 5 games, he was playing up through the middle. So I think definitely success is coming for Newcastle with the new personnel as they play week in, week out with each other. The same 11, it seems like, from Amorim week in, week out for Manchester United. Finally, it has bored 2 consecutive wins in the Premier League for the first time with a 2-1 win away to Anfield. A great result for United. And now all you've heard of since the last week was United has had one of the toughest schedules in the Premier League. NBC goes out and posts strength of schedule, and it just hit all of social media. United, the 3rd hardest schedule, already playing teams like Arsenal, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool in the 8 games so far. But there's a reason why it took Amorim basically 12 months to get 2 consecutive Premier League wins. And it's not because they lose to the big boys. It's because they lose to anyone with a competent midfield. Baliba is in the Brighton midfield, and that is why I'm going draw here. Brighton hasn't played well on the road, beating teams like City and Newcastle at home, tying Spurs at home, whereas on their travels, tying teams like Wolves, unable to really get going. Danny Welbeck, like you mentioned, has been on fine form, gets to return to Old Trafford here, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. I like a draw here in this one. I'm not buying the Manchester United hype that they are back. I don't know about you, but I'm not buying it. Great win.
Maguire. What a great win for them. Yeah, I don't think one result is enough to take them out of their poor form for the last few years. It's going to take a lot more than that, but what a great win for them and the fans. Brentford are taking on Liverpool in the next one. Brentford are coming off a solid win against a demoralized West Ham team that we talked about. They controlled the entire game, but it's really hard to tell Brentford's form right now because just how defeated that West Ham team is. Igor Thiago, though, is on great form with 5 goals in 8 matches this season. He's got the 3rd most goals in the Premier League. I don't know how many people expected that through 8 matches. Liverpool coming off that loss against United. Liverpool getting a taste of their own medicine lately with the late goals. All of a sudden, Arne Slot is getting questioned. Fortunately, they did break their run of bad form midweek against Frankfurt. Big news of midweek is that Salah was benched to start the game. The 33-year-old had a really slow start to the season from his standards, and he found himself on the bench. I don't think he was too happy about that, but it seems to have paid off. Wirtz with 2 assists in his best game for Liverpool. The Liverpool fans will hope he is finally getting comfortable in his new role at his new club. He's had a super slow start to the season for how much they pay for him. Szoboszlai looked absolutely amazing against Frankfurt. Ekitike is unequivocally Liverpool's best number 9 right now. I expect Isak to warm into his role more, but right now I think Ekitike has to be starting. I think Liverpool rebound in the Prem here. They get a win.
Yeah, you think Salah starts or Salah on the bench again?
Oh, that's
you just
a great
roll
question.
back the same. Roll back.
I think
the
you
same
have
11
to.
in
I
Frankfurt?
think you have to bench him after that Frankfurt performance. But also, he's your star player. You don't want him getting too disgruntled. I can't wait to see the lineup sheet.
Yeah, it's not really a coincidence. You know, we talked about a couple weeks ago how boneheaded the Ekitike red card was in the Carabao Cup, taking the shirt off for the second yellow, and everyone was criticizing him. That was the turning point where late winners became late losers as Ekitike got out of the side. Isak being in the side for 4 games as a starter, and they just haven't been able to win games. I think Ekitike has to start. I think he fits the system way better than Isak even does. A big reason, I think, why you and I were both in agreement that Mark Gahey would have been a better signing for Liverpool than Isak. So definitely a lot of changes and decisions for Arne Slot to do this weekend. I'm also interested in the left back if Kirkez gets the start or if Robbo comes back in as well. I think a lot of big decisions, but Liverpool all 3 points to help keep them up there in the standings with league leaders Arsenal. Arsenal only conceded 3 goals in all competitions this year. That is 1 goal away at Anfield, 1 goal away at Newcastle, St. James's Park, and 1 goal to the prolific Erling Haaland at Manchester City. That's it. That's the only goals that they've conceded. They have been one of the best teams in all of Europe. That defense is going to help them compete in all competitions this year. Right now, they seem, for me, to be the favorites for the Premier League and have a kind of vice grip here on the Champions League. I'd hate to have to travel to the Emirates in a knockout stage game, having to get a goal, especially if you don't win your home leg. Crystal Palace has that challenge this week after a poor performance midweek in the Conference League against Cyprus side, falling to them at home at Selhurst Park. They don't have to travel far here for the London Derby on the weekend on Sunday. But this is a Crystal Palace side that is looking tired. Mateta with a hat trick last time out against Bournemouth skied a 99th minute potential winner and his 4th goal of the game. And that is a clear sign of a striker being tired. He followed that up with clear misses, again, leaning back, hitting it way over the crossbar against the Cyprus team in midweek. Crystal Palace has only rotated 17 players in the Premier League. In comparison, Arsenal has used 24 different players in 8 games. They have 17 players who have played in 5 or more games. So they are well rested. They are a defensive machine. I don't see Palace getting on the scoreboard here at the Emirates, which means Arsenal's just going to take their time, maybe get another corner like you mentioned. Arsenal will be in control from minute 1 to minute 90 and get all 3 points at home.
Yeah, last time Crystal Palace took on the team at the top of the table, they were able to win against Liverpool. That was at home. This one at Emirates is going to be a different story. Crystal Palace is a slightly different team at Selhurst Park. I like Arsenal here. They might be the best team in the world right now. They're looking so good.
Quote that. Clip it. Clip it. City fan saying Arsenal, best team in the world.
Question for you. Do you think Arsenal beats Chelsea's goals against?
Man. You know, I was trying to calculate, okay, you have 3 goals against so far in the Premier League after 8 games. You know, multiply that by 5 basically to get to the 38 game season, and you're right at it, you know?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it does go to show how great that Jose Mourinho Chelsea team was to be able to hold on to it. A big thing that plays a role here is, when do you win the title? And so if you're Arsenal and you are competing for the title, as in you fall off a little bit, but let's assume they're going to win the title as the Chelsea team did that season, when do you win it? Are you fighting all the way to the end? Are you going far?
If they're going to get that record, I think they do.
Yeah, and if it's in
The
reach, but if you're
Centurions
all
for City kept playing to get
for the
that
record.
record. Yeah.
Exactly. But also too, if I'm not mistaken, the Centurions got knocked out of the Champions League quite early in comparison, I believe. Not a semifinal berth, I don't think, for them. So, does Arsenal make it all the way back? And are they going to prefer that, competition over a record like that? Maybe so. I think it's one of the unbeatable records, so I will see it when I believe it, because that Chelsea team was just on another level.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Aston Villa taking on Manchester City. City going to Villa Park, a place that they have struggled at in recent years. Villa, however, look completely different under Unai Emery this season. They have rebounded a little bit, but they are not nearly as dominant as we've seen them the last few years. They're coming off their biggest win of the season, though, away to Spurs. Morgan Rogers with an amazing finish for his first of the 25-26 Premier League campaign. It's good to see him look like he was playing last year, finally at this point in the season. He's such a young, promising talent. After a really slow start to the season, Villa now has 4 wins in a row. We're not going to talk about the Europa League result today. Manchester City are coming off a solid win against Everton. Everton could not get much going with their most creative player on the bench due to low restrictions. Haaland with a brace to be the first with double digits in the Premier League this season. He now has the same amount or more goals than 12 of the 20 top flight teams. Absolutely ridiculous. Before Bernardo scored against Villarreal midweek, Haaland had 7 straight for Manchester City. It's a little worrying to have so many goals from one person. A lot of people are talking about that point, but that is precisely what Pep has set up this City team to do. And if you're following the game plan and your star striker's scoring a bunch of goals, I don't really see a problem in that. If Haaland gets injured, Pep will change a lot of things. People are overthinking that one a little bit. Haaland is on fire.
Well, when your second lead goal scorer in the Premier League plays for Burnley, because of 2 own goals in that game, I think it deserves some conversation.
It's a funny talking point, but I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah. Find yourself second in the table, you're obviously doing something right.
Yeah, I like Manchester City to take all 3 points here against.
Yeah, Villa is just a team. You talk about Unai Emery, and you're not usually, we're not going to talk about the Europa League game, but that was kind of the saving grace after their poor start of the season. It's like, oh well, they'll pick it up in Europe. They're going to focus on Europe, that kind of thing. But they have not put it together, and they haven't put it together in Europe either. Definitely hot and cold. The Forest managing system has been very hot and cold so far. Sean Dyche hired on Tuesday of this week and gets his first win as Forest manager and his first shutout as Forest manager here on Thursday in the European competition, something that Big Ange was unable to do in the over 6 weeks he was in the job. A win, nor clean sheet, which proves how terrible of a hire that Big Ange was, and supports the philosophy that you really want to keep the similar managerial philosophy. Even if you're going to sack a manager, bring in a new manager that has a similar philosophy. When you look at Nuno, you look at Sean Dyche, they both want to play kind of more of a defensive style and try to hit back on the counter. Callum Hudson-Odoi was great today, very effective getting on the ball, picking up, driving into those half spaces and getting a shot away. They got 2 penalties today, but hey, you get them when you can in European competition, especially against a team like Porto, where Porto hasn't lost the entire season. They haven't lost since the group stages of the Club World Cup, where Lionel Messi got the winner in a 2-1 victory there. So that is a huge win for Nottingham Forest. However, they had to travel to a Bournemouth team that has been one of the best home teams and one of the best teams in the Premier League, as they sit tied in 3rd place. Yes, tied in 3rd place with Liverpool. The same amount of goals, the same amount of goals conceded, the same amount of points as Liverpool. And the big reason why is Semenyo. You mentioned Haaland and how much he contributes to Manchester City. Well, Semenyo has contributed 6 goals, 3 assists. That's 9 out of the 14 goals that Bournemouth have scored in the Premier League. Over 60% of the goals come through Semenyo down that left-hand side. He was a huge reason they scored 3 goals last week against Crystal Palace. He's going to be a huge reason why Bournemouth get all 3 points against Forest. This is one of the more exciting games of the week to see how Sean Dyche is going to approach this game with Forest and how Bournemouth can respond as well at home. I like Bournemouth to pick up all 3 points.
Yeah, Semenyo has been absolutely out
On
of this
fire.
world this year. He was good last year. He's been out of this world this one. Next up, we have another relegation bottom of the table battle that we referenced at the start of the video. We got Wolves taking on Burnley at Molineux. Wolves are coming off a tough loss against Sunderland in a game they really needed to get a result in. You have to think if they don't get a result in this one, Vitor Pereira will be sacked. Wolves is the only team without a win this season. Vitor Pereira doesn't have anything to lose. He should start for Lopez, the youngster. Hasn't seen many minutes, but he was a star at Real Sociedad. I want to see John Arias, Strand Larson, and Fer Lopez as a front three. There isn't a team that is struggling more for goals than Wolves. You got to play more of your creative players up front to try to generate some goals. They've got the least amount in the Premier League at 5. Strand Larson is still a really solid striker. They just need to put players on the field that can find him the ball. Burnley are coming off a really important win against Leeds at Turf Moor. It was enough to take them out of the relegation zone for the first time since September. Kyle Walker with as good of a cross as you'll see all season. I can't say that we saw much of that at City, but what a ball. And their second goal was arguably the goal of the season in the top left corner. They have beaten both of the newly promoted teams that they faced, Burnley that is, and will be desperate to beat a struggling Wolves team. And again, I'm going to just cop out and go draw here.
You know what Wolves really needed to do? They needed to sign Sean Dyche before Forest did. If they really wanted any chance, I don't know, even if you make a managerial change, who are you going to bring in here to help you get back into this? If you lose this game, you are going to find yourself almost 8 points outside of safety already after 9 games. Trying to get to 40 points with a third of the season basically almost over is just going to be practically impossible. A must win for Wolves. So I agree with you. They need to throw all things forward to try and pick up some points, pick up some goals. But I don't see Burnley losing this type of game. Wolves have just been so poor. But I agree, something needs to change for Wolves fans to get any type of excitement here for the remainder of their Premier League season before they find themselves in the championship once again. Everton, new stadium, and no problems. Unbeaten at home. They welcome a Tottenham Hotspur team who I am really intrigued to see how Thomas Frank handles this midweek to Premier League action. Europe, they played away in Monaco, their second away game. Thomas Frank's second away European game here in the Champions League. Last time they went from an away game in the Champions League to an away Premier League game, they made 5 changes, but that was away to Leeds. This time it is away to Everton. So can you make that many changes between a midweek to a weekend game when you're playing a top half of the table team in Everton and expect to get a result? Everton didn't have Jack Grealish against Manchester City last time out. They welcome him back, so he is going to be on rest. He, as you mentioned, one of the top players in the Premier League this season in terms of chances created. He has been a centerpiece for that team. They've gotten Tyler Dibbling into the fold. You and I are big Dwight McNeil fans, especially from last year. He just hasn't been able to find any minutes, find any form. Maybe it's still lingering from that knee injury he suffered last December, but it seemed like at the end of last season, he was picking up form then, and it would have just carried himself into this season. But he just hasn't been getting minutes. He hasn't been on form when he's been given minutes, and they have other attacking options like Jack Grealish, obviously bringing in Dewsbury Hall from Chelsea. He's been a success story. Nadai has been fantastic for Everton. Beto and Barry have been going in and out, and they have provided a great option up front. So I like Everton to pick up all 3 points here, but I think this is going to be one of the games of the weekend. I think Everton get a little bit of a boost being rested in comparison to Spurs, having traveled twice and having to make the trip all the way up from London for this one. So give me Everton in a 3-2 game. I like 3-2. And there you have it. There are all of our Premier League picks for week 9, match week 9. Let us know your thoughts on Arsenal, on United, on Liverpool so far. Can they all pick up all 3 points? Let us know in the comment section below. But more importantly, enjoy the football.